Hi, I'm Liz DiTomaso, former attorney and fitness professional turned certified life coach. This is your daily top 3 at 3. Every day at 3 p.m. Eastern, it is my pleasure to be with you here and share my top 3 ways that you can change one part of your life. Today, we're going to talk about how to make your relationships go from conflict to better connection. I have always loved communicating, but admit that I haven't always been a master at it. These are the top 3 ways that I have learned to practice much better communication so there's much less conflict in my relationships. Number 1, roll with resistance. Now, this little gem is something that I learned from a friend in the past, and it's probably the best thing this person taught me. Here's what it means. If you're engaging in a conversation with someone and they're really resisting a new idea or resisting something you're saying and they just have their side and don't want to hear anything else, you want to let them have their opinion and their side of the argument. Instead of trying to convince them of something different than what they're ready to believe, let them have their resistance. We all know what it feels like when someone is trying to convince us of something. It doesn't feel good. We become more heavily entrenched in our point of view. So the best thing to do is to roll with the resistance. Let them have their opinion, and perhaps you ask questions or you say things like, "Tell me more about that," or, "What exactly do you mean by that?" And that's how you end up learning more without increasing the amount of defensiveness or resistance they have. Number 2, practice the art of nonviolent communication. Now, this particular theory was formed in the 60s by Marshall Rosenberg, and there is actually a book called Nonviolent Communication. It has done so much for my relationships. Here's what it means. When you communicate with someone with the understanding that we all have basic human needs, we need to be seen, we need to be heard, and we need to be authentically known. When we're communicating from that foundation, our communication is much more open and beautiful and nonviolent. Instead of the alternative, which is communicating in a way that induces guilt or shame or judgment or punishment, which is how a lot of us end up communicating with each other. So you want to aim to communicate non-violently with the understanding that both of you have these basic human needs, and in your communication, you're actually trying to get both of your needs met. Number 3, become a master listener. In this very extroverted society, we often put all the emphasis on what we're saying rather than the other side of communication, which is listening. Yes, listening is actually part of communication. So in order to be better at communicating, because let's face it, most of us are really good at talking, we have to become better listeners. Here's how you do that. First, you want to listen to understand rather than just listening to hear words or waiting until it's your turn to speak. To genuinely understand what the other person is saying, you might say things like, "Tell me more about that," or "How did that feel?" or "What exactly do you mean by that? I want to know more." So you want to be an expert listener so that both sides of the communication are working smoothly and seamlessly. To wrap up, this is how you're going to move from conflict to connection in your relationships. Number 1, roll with resistance. Number 2, practice nonviolent communication. And number 3, become an expert listener. I hope this helps to make all of your relationships harmonious. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Share it with any of your friends that may be struggling to communicate, especially on lockdown with their spouses or partners. I'll be back tomorrow with another top 3 at 3. Enjoy the rest of your day.